And we're following breaking news. Beach Boys co-founder, singer, and songwriter Brian Wilson has died. His family announced his passing on social media today, saying that they're heartbroken. And credited with creating the California sound, Wilson won 9 Grammys, including 2 for his solo work. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1988. And for more on this, we're joined by film critic and host of CTV's Pop Life, Richard Krause. Richard, you know, the iconic sound, right? That's what we'll always have.
We will, and we've had it for a long time. Brian Wilson began putting the Beach Boys together in 1961. So, you know, we're looking at almost 65 years of Beach Boys music. And he was really the architect of that sound with songs like Surfin' Safari and Surfin' U.S.A., which were big hits. I Get Around. There were songs that really felt like they defined the era in which they came out and then the place from which they came from. And as their career continued after this string of big hits, he developed stage fright, didn't want to tour anymore, so he became a studio-bound musician mostly, and created incredible work like Pet Sounds, which came out in 1966, and it's one of the most influential albums of its moment. Paul McCartney said God Only Knows from that album is the most beautiful song ever written, and it was one of the albums that inspired the Beatles to go on and make Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So not only did it have incredible music of its own, but it had long-lasting effects on the rest of popular culture that was happening at the time.
And speaking of popular culture, you know, let's talk about, I guess, the effects, the far-reaching effects, I should say, because, you know, that song that you mentioned, I Get Around, I remember that from Look Who's Talking.
Oh, yeah. No, listen, if you have gone to the movies in the last 60 years, you've heard their songs because they are emblematic of summer. They're emblematic of a good time, of a feel that, and so filmmakers have used these songs over and over and over again as a shorthand to create a feeling that they want to do, you know, and they can do that with the music. And it's all due to the brilliance of Brian Wilson, who just harmonically heard things differently than other people. So you've got a song like God Only Knows. If you go online, you will find the version that has very little music. They've stripped away the instrumentation, and you'll just hear the vocal work on it. And that's the work of the entire band. But Brian Wilson did the arrangement for that, and he was 23 years old at the time. So a very young man who was working at a very extraordinarily high level, making records that affected generations of people.
What words can you conjure up to relay the feeling of the music? Because, you know, God only knows that that's so like deep and harmonious. It's like the opposite of all of the other music, you know? A good time.
Yeah, well, there's a range in the music that he made. You keep in mind, when he was writing Surfing USA and Surfing Safari, also, he didn't surf. He was not a surfer, so interesting that he wrote those songs. But when he wrote those songs, he was a very young man and, you know, still a teenager. And his music matured as he matured. So you get a song like God Only Knows, or a song that he didn't write, but the beautiful arrangement on Sloop John B., which is one of my favorites of the Beach Boys. And he did it in unusual ways to create sort of a beachy feel that he wanted in the studio while he was recording a song called Let's Go Away for a while. He actually had a big sandbox filled with sand brought in, so the musicians, the Wrecking Crew, the famous band that played backup on the Beach Boys' later albums, could sort of dip their toes into the sand and get that beach vibe that he was trying to create on that song. So he was unconventional. He had a way with creating vocal harmony that has really never been duplicated on record because it was so unique and so interesting. And, you know, he left a legacy of 60 some odd years, 63 years or 4 years of really fantastic music.
And Richard, as we wrap up, we only have a few seconds. How should we remember Brian Wilson?
remember Brian Wilson for the great feeling that those songs give you when you are driving in the car and I Get Around comes on, or Barbara Ann, or in a more introspective moment, God Only Knows. Think about the way that makes you feel, and that's the way Brian Wilson would like to be remembered, I'm sure.
Remembering Brian Wilson, film critic and host of CTV's Pop Life, Richard Krause. Richard, thank you.
Thanks for having me.